Arvind, in Sri Lanka we have an issue of language, and I would imagine it's many times more of a challenge in India, which has hundreds or even thousands. The issue is quite simply this, that many government departments do not have the capacity, though it is changing, and for the better, they don't have the capacity today to, say, address or respond to a complaint made, say, in Tamil, or even in English for that matter, where the lingua franca in most government departments and state institutions would be Sinhala. Now, does RTI also in your country address that? Does a citizen who makes a request or addresses the appellate mechanism, does it have to be in a specific language, or can it be in her or his language, or lingua franca? I mean, are there languages that you have to speak, in other words, to access RTI?
You see, this language is a big problem in India. The law says that RTI application can be made in your English, Hindi, or the official language of that particular state.
Okay.
So if you're in Andhra Pradesh, you can do it in Telugu.
Yeah.
So more than these languages, it is the government language which is difficult to comprehend. It is the technical language of the government which is difficult to comprehend. What RTI does is that it gives you access to the government documents. Once you get those government documents out, then you can take someone's help to understand that, or to get it translated, or to do a wider dissemination.
Right, but the citizens can access it in
the language in which it exists with the government.
It exists with the government, which would be what?
In different states, different languages.
Right. In terms of the finances necessary to make a law work, responses take human resources as well as financial. Sometimes governments themselves don't know what they have in terms of information. Putting it out of, digging it up out of cold storage, digging up old records. I mean, you have over 1 billion people, potentially all of them can make requests. So, I mean, was there resistance that the finances, the state coffers weren't enough to deal with the potential adding up of these requests? Was that ever an argument in
It's always given.
Yes, it's always given.
It's always given.
And how do you address that? I mean, what is your response to that?
So the first and foremost is that the country has to believe that right to information is critical to the existence of democracy.
Right.
If we believe in that, then the rest of the resources are necessary to put it in place. For instance, have you ever thought that the parliament spends so much money and therefore we should wind up parliament? So right to information is as critical for the existence of democracy as parliament is in a parliamentary democracy. I'll give you an example. In US, one department received 3 million RTI applications in 1 year, and they spent $30 million to process that. So they set aside those resources because they believe in transparency, and they believe that freedom of information is extremely critical to the functioning of their governance. So I think first we have to believe in it as a country. As a society, we have to believe in it, that right to information has to exist if democracy has. Once it is there, I think the resources will come.
And we've talked about stories, some wonderful stories you have, because generally speaking, citizens feel that this is not for everybody. I mean, that the people with resources, with either access to the law, access to the language, or the financial resources necessary, they are the only ones who will be able to benefit from such a law. But some of the stories that you have to tell suggest that in India, it's literally even a beggar who can access this law. And would you mind telling us?
No, in fact, right to information has existed for many years now. There is this narrow band of usage of RTI, which is extremely successful. What we call petty corruption, I call it extortionist corruption, that if you go to a government department and you have submitted all the papers, you have done your work right, and you should have got that work done in ordinary course of time, but there is an expectation of bribe, there is a demand for bribe, or there is simple bureaucratic lethargy, your work is not being done, you are asked to run around. So you end up paying bribes. Now in India, if you know how to use RTI, you don't need to pay bribes for your legitimate work. And the way it works is that I'll give you the story of a daily wage laborer called Nannu. This man is a very poor man. He had a ration card, which is a food card given by the government of India. He lost his ration card and he applied for a duplicate ration card. According to the rules, you should get your duplicate ration card in 10 days' time. Now he ran around for 3 months, his ration card was not given. 3 months later, he filed an RTI application, and within 4 days of his filing RTI application, the food inspector came to his house and said Nannuji, your card is ready, please come and collect it. And when Nannu went to collect his card, the food and supply officer, who is the head of a district, escorted Nannu to his room, offered him tea, gave him his card, and said that this is your ration card, please take back your RTI application now. Nannu asked 4 questions in his application. Number 1, that I made an application for duplicate ration card on such and such date. Please give me the daily progress made on my application so far. Number 2, please give me the names and names of the officers who were supposed to take action and have not done so.
Yeah.
Number 3, please tell me what action will be taken against these officers for violating the rules, and by when will the action be taken. And number 4, by when will I get my card now. Now, in ordinary circumstances, such an application is thrown in the dustbin. But this law says they have to give information, otherwise salary would be deducted from 31st day. This law says that 250 rupees per day of delay. Now, it's not easy to answer these questions. The first question is, please give me the daily progress made. There is no progress made. But they can't write it in that many words that we have not acted on your application. So the moment they write, it is admission of guilt on paper. Second question is, please give me the names of the officers who were supposed to take action. The moment they write the names of the officers, responsibility gets fixed. No government officer wants his name to appear like this. So the moment you ask these 4 questions, we call them magical questions. The moment you ask these 4 questions, your work gets done. And there are thousands of examples, if you do a Google search, from across the country where people are now saying no to bribery for their legitimate work and using right to information. There are several such examples where people have used right to information to get their roads repaired in their area, to get the water in their area, to get electricity. I mean, people are using right to information for civic services, for keeping a check on the government expenditure, for questioning government policies at the topmost level. I'll give you a very interesting example that recently one person asked Madhya Pradesh government. We keep on hearing that there is so much of political interference in transfer postings of police officers. So, and that interference has become so aggressive now that the politicians are making written recommendations. So this man said in the last 4 months, please give me copies of all the recommendations made by various politicians to influence the police transfers. And he got copies of 2,700 recommendations by, including chief minister, including members of parliament, making recommendations for the police transfers. And it became a big issue. So that is exactly what I'm saying, that now the people can actually participate in democracy and engage in governance using the information that is coming out. Good thing is that in some of the states, opposition parties are using right to information to embarrass the ruling party. This is what democracy is about. Some people criticize it. Some people say that opposition is misusing. It's not misuse of RTI, it's use of RTI. That is what opposition is for, to get the right kind of information and to challenge the government on that.
And obviously this gives media also a huge, powerful tool.
In fact, many of those journalists, initially when we used to interact with the journalists when RTI Act came, they said, oh, we don't need RTI, we have our own connections and we have our own network. We have our own sources and we need hard stories, we need stories tomorrow and you take 1 month for... But now many of the journalists are using RTI on a big scale because they know the kind of information that RTI can give you, your sources cannot.
And in terms of your perception of governance and corruption, it's a large question, but from what you know, governance and corruption in the country, has corruption gone down and the quality of governance
gone up? This is a very interesting question everyone asks, that what has been the impact of RTI. Let me confess that it's too early.
This is 05. 4 years.
Just 4 years. I mean, in 4 years, I don't think any law can make such a huge change to bring down corruption in a major way.
But I didn't ask for I asked for the perception, because I think perception is also an indicator.
Right.
The people's perception, has it bettered their lives? Do they feel more empowered?
That is true. So anyone who knows how to use RTI is feeling tremendously empowered. He is able to, he has a very powerful tool in his hands to challenge bribery, to challenge corruption, to challenge injustice. It's just that the number of these people is very small right now. As this number grows, and as the government departments come to know that whatever the action they take that's going to be challenged, that's going to come out in public domain, I think if we did a survey a couple of years down the line, we will see that the corruption and wrongdoings have come down substantially. I think it's going to happen. But in a limited manner, in some areas, wherever RTI has been used in a major way, I think it has made impact on public delivery systems. For instance, public distribution system, where the government provides ration, food, subsidized food for the poorest of the poor. I mean, one of the surveys that we did was that 93% wheat and 97% rice was being siphoned off in Delhi. Since the time right to information started getting used, in many areas, people have almost 100% people have started getting their rations now. So I think it's going to take time.